Upton Studios in Oklahoma City. You're watching the Press Row. Press Row is brought to you by Cox High-Speed Internet. It's time for our weekly We Pick 'em segment. Barry, we've got 5 games, and they're all great ones. Let's get right to it. First, we're going to go with the Big Ten Championship game. Wisconsin versus Michigan State. First ever Big Ten Championship game. Barry, who you got?
Well, I got Wisconsin. I got to tell you, this might have been, this is a rematch.
Yeah.
This might be the game of the year so far in college football. If you remember that Wisconsin at Michigan State, the Spartans tie it up. At the end of regulation on a Hail Mary, our old pal Kid Nickel makes the catch. Just an unbelievable game. But Wisconsin's the better team.
Yeah.
I mean, they got good quarterback play, great running game. Wisconsin's got it going. They're the best team in the Big Ten. They're going to win.
I agree. Wisconsin wins in my book as well. And, you know, as good as that game was, it was on the night that OU loses to Texas Tech. So nobody does remember that game. Everybody was paranoid about what was happening in Norman with the storm and that game and the outcome. But this was a great game in the regular season. I'm not sure it's as good a game in this championship game. Wisconsin will be fired up, Barry. Obviously, Michigan State, hurt their chances of a national championship. I think they're motivated. I think Wisconsin gets the Big Ten championship.
Props to the Big Ten for putting on a legit big championship game.
At a neutral site.
Neutral site,
yeah.
Great facility, Indianapolis. Good job, Big Ten.
Hence the reason we're not picking the Pac-12 championship game this week. All right, let's go to another pretty good matchup in a championship game. This one, Conference USA, Southern Miss versus Houston. Larry Fedora and Kevin Sumlin. Who you got, Barry?
Well, it's the Mike Gundy, Bob Stoops Coaching Tree Bowl. The winner gets their pick of the best job out there, Illinois, Arizona State, wherever it might be. I'm going to take Houston. I think someone's got a better team. Has got more on the line. They go to the Sugar Bowl. With a victory, Houston's going to the Sugar Bowl. So Fedora's done a nice job, but game before last, Southern Miss loses at Alabama Birmingham. One of the worst losses anybody in college football has had this season. I think Houston's the better team.
I do too. Last week I picked Tulsa to upset Houston. Houston throttled them. Obviously, Houston, really good team. I think they win the Conference USA Championship. And I tell you what, this game might be worth keeping an eye on if you're an Oklahoma State fan, because there's talk that Todd Monken might be in line to get a head coaching job somewhere. And if you look at what Houston has, they've got Cliff Kingsbury on the sideline calling plays as their offensive coordinator, a guy that I wouldn't be surprised, Barry, if Todd Monken moves on, Cliff Kingsbury might be a guy to look at for the next offensive coordinator job. All right, let's go to the ACC Championship game. This one has Virginia Tech versus Clemson. Barry, these two played earlier in the year. It's a rematch. What do you see happening in this one?
Well, I don't know. Clemson went to Virginia Tech and routed the Hokies. Very impressive victory. Since then, Clemson's really fallen apart. They play in a bad division. They somehow won it. Virginia Tech's playing better. I think I'm taking Virginia Tech. I don't like either team, though. The ACC is so bad. This has been a conference that's been in a 5, 6, 7-year slump. This is a conference crying out for Florida State to get good again, and it's not happening. And that's how you get a Virginia Tech-Clemson matchup.
Yeah, even though Clemson did win easily in the regular season, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech as well in this championship game. A lot of people have Virginia Tech ranked pretty high in the BCS, and if they rout Clemson, which could happen after Clemson lost to NC State, I mean, we've seen some bad losses for Clemson. Virginia Tech, they haven't really played anybody. Look at their wins. They're on a 7-game winning streak right now. And there's not really an impressive win on that list of games. So while I think they could win impressively again and maybe steal some votes from maybe a team like an OSU who might be trying to crack into that top 2, I don't think Virginia Tech's a great team, but I do think that they beat Clemson. All right, a game that a lot of people will be watching before the Bedlam game, the SEC Championship game, LSU versus Georgia. Who you got, Barry?
Well, I've got LSU. It would be a poetic justice if Georgia won this game. Georgia gets to play a virtual home game in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Atlanta is a Georgia town. They love their Bulldogs in Atlanta, but LSU's probably going to win. They're the better team. And then LSU would get to go and play a virtual home game for the national title in the Superdome in New Orleans. So I think LSU is good enough to overcome that home field advantage. I don't think anybody's good enough to overcome the home field advantage LSU will have in New Orleans.
So that's an early BCS championship game prediction. Well, I'm going with LSU in this game as well. Georgia's been on a great winning streak. They've won 10 straight after starting 0-2, so really saved Mark Richt's job, saved their season, got on the right track. But much like Virginia Tech, look at who Georgia's beat. This is a year when the SEC has a much larger, much softer underbelly than most years. Teams that have been great in the past, teams like Florida, Tennessee, they're really not very good this year. And Georgia's got on this winning streak by beating teams that aren't as good this year. So while, 10-game winning streak, impressive, LSU, their defense, they're the much better team in this game. I think they win pretty easily. All right, lastly, you know what's coming, Bedlam. Barry, who you got?
Well, OSU has the better team. OSU is healthier. OSU's playing at home, so I got to pick OU. Here's the deal. I've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth, for 5-6 weeks. But I said it last year when they played in Stillwater for the South Division title. I picked the Cowboys, and they lost. Played well, but lost. And I said, I'm not picking them to win Bedlam again until they actually do. And so this week I got to thinking, you know what? Bob Stoops has been backed into a corner before. He always comes out, Big 12 title games, Bedlam, he always comes out on top. I'm going to pick Oklahoma until the Cowboys show me they can do it.
Okay, that's great logic, but I'm picking the Cowboys because, as Barry said, they do have the better team. I just think Oklahoma State right now, they have what they put out there on the field against Oklahoma is going to be superior, especially the Oklahoma State offense versus that OU defense. I think if the OU offense would have not lost Ryan Broyles and Dom Whaley, you might say different. You might say, well, maybe OU does win this because they've won Bedlam so many times in a row. But I just think that Oklahoma State offense, Barry, it's so hard to think that they're not going to score points. I mean, I know the weather's supposed to be bad. I know it's supposed to be cold, rainy. All this talk of ice bowl, I don't think that's going to happen, by the way, folks. If you listen to people at the National Weather Service who actually know what they're talking about, it's not going to be an ice bowl. But, Barry, the offense Oklahoma State has, so good. I just think that I don't think Oklahoma can score enough points to keep up with OSU.
Well, you might be right. You might very well be right. A couple things concern me about OSU, though. They didn't play well the last time out, the Iowa State game. It's going to be a 15-day break. Joseph Randall's all of a sudden fumbled.
That's true.
Two fumbles in 2 straight games. And I think there's a lot of pressure on the Cowboys because this is sort of the coming out season. This is the season when they can actually win that first conference title.
If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it?
I think there's a lot of pressure on the Cowboys. There's a lot of pressure on the Sooners too. They want to win, but I think they've sort of been in that pressurized situation before. I think it'd be great for the state, be great for the Big 12, be great for the Cowboys if OSU won. I just don't know if they can do it.
You know what? I think either outcome is possible. I'm picking the Cowboys because I think they got the better team, but I wouldn't be surprised by anything in this Bedlam game. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.